You know that feeling when you make a joke and only one or two people in the room genuinely get it? When your perfectly crafted punchline lands with a subtle smirk from a chosen few, rather than a booming laugh from the crowd. There's actually a psychological reason why some introverts have that specific, niche sense of humor, and it goes way deeper than you think. If you've ever been told your humor is too smart or takes a minute to land, if you often internally chuckle at your own observations before anyone else catches on, or if you prefer to observe social dynamics before dropping a perfectly timed, subtle zinger, this video is going to explain exactly why your brain works this way. Let's start with what's happening in your brain when you craft or appreciate a dry, witty joke. This isn't just about amusement. It often involves increased activity in your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for complex thought, problem solving, and social cognition. For you, humor isn't just about slapstick or loud punchlines. It's a cognitive puzzle. Your brain is actively engaged in pattern recognition, subtext interpretation, and often a dash of intellectual rebellion. But here's the crazy part. Studies suggest that people who favor this type of humor often have brains that are highly attuned to nuance and subtlety. You're not just hearing the words. You're processing the tone, the context, the implied meaning, and the potential for a double entendre. Your brain is literally wired to seek out and create complexity in communication. You're not just being dramatic when you say you appreciate clever humor. Your neurochemistry literally thrives on the mental gymnastics required to get a truly sophisticated piece of wit. When someone laughs at your niche joke, it's not just a laugh. It's a shared moment of intellectual recognition, a validation that they understand your complex thought process. Now let's talk about why you specifically gravitate towards this kind of humor more than the average person. It often comes down to your observational nature as an introvert. You spend a lot of time processing the world around you, not just reacting to it. This gives you a wealth of material for your humor, subtle ironies, human quirks, and unspoken social rules that others might miss. Your jokes are often commentaries on the human condition, delivered with a detached, almost scientific precision. There's also something called cognitive empathy at play. People with dry wit often possess a high degree of this, meaning you're good at understanding what another person is thinking, even if you don't always feel what they're feeling. This allows you to construct jokes that rely on subtle societal observations or intellectual connections that bypass purely emotional reactions. And it gets better. For introverts, your humor isn't designed to be universally funny. It's designed to be precise, thoughtful, and perhaps a little exclusive. It's a way of finding your tribe, those rare individuals who speak your internal language. When they laugh, you're experiencing a genuine neurological connection for that shared perspective. Here's something interesting. Research shows that introverts tend to process information more deeply. Your dry wit reflects this depth, often requiring the listener to engage in similar deep processing to fully appreciate the joke. It's a selective filter, creating a bond with those who can meet you at that intellectual level. This type of humor offers social connection without the social risk of broad, attention-seeking performance. Being an introvert with dry wit often becomes a core part of your identity, and there's a reason for that. It's called social identity theory. When you identify with this kind of humor, you're embracing a way of communicating that values intelligence, observation, and authenticity. Think about it. You'd rather wait for the perfect, subtle jab than engage in loud banter. You might find yourself crafting the ideal retort hours after the conversation, appreciating its brilliance even if it never saw the light of day. Your humor isn't just a mechanism for laughs. It's a subtle form of self-expression, a glimpse into your unique perspective without the high emotional risk of overt self-disclosure. And this identity gets reinforced every single day. Every time someone truly gets your joke, every time you silently appreciate the irony of a situation, you're validating that this is who you are. You're someone who values depth over superficiality, observation over participation, and genuine intellectual connection over broad appeal. There's also an element of authenticity here. This dry, witty humor allows you to engage with the world, comment on it, and connect with others without draining your social battery or feeling overwhelmed by superficial interactions. For a lot of introverts, their relationship with their unique humor is where they feel most like themselves. That's not sad. That's actually incredibly psychologically healthy. You found a way to be completely authentic. But here's where it gets really interesting. Your dry wit often reflects something deeper about how you view the world. Introverts with this humor tend to have what psychologists call a high authenticity orientation paired with a need for intellectual engagement. You value real connection over performative interaction, and you're willing to invest deeply in relationships that feel genuine, even if they're fewer in number. The way you craft your jokes often mirrors how you approach understanding the world. You notice the complexities, the subtle absurdities, and the unspoken truths. Your humor reflects a deeper belief that life isn't always obvious, and true understanding comes from looking beneath the surface. And for a lot of introverts, this dry wit represents something even bigger. It's proof that intelligence and nuance still have a place in communication. In a world that often feels loud, shallow, and instant, your thoughtful, understated humor is a daily reminder that deeper, more complex connections are real and possible. So if your jokes are often met with a thoughtful nod rather than a booming laugh, or if you're the one smirking quietly at the absurdities of life, you're not socially awkward, and you're not being obscure. You're someone whose brain craves intellectual stimulation, whose introverted nature fosters keen observation, and whose unique humor is a sophisticated reflection of your authentic self. Your wit isn't just a way to get a laugh. It's a reflection of who you are, what you need, and how you connect. And honestly, that's beautiful. If this explained your entire personality, let me know in the comments. And if you want more deep dives into the psychology behind everyday behaviors, subscribe because we're just getting started.